All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. You know how this works. Someone sends us something interesting and we dive deep into it.
That we do.
So this time, someone sent in some pretty fascinating stuff about walking.
Walking, huh?
Walking,
Yeah.
but not just your, average walk around the block.
Oh, right.
We're talking walking with poles.
Okay.
And they even sent in some info from a Taiwanese organization that promotes this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting.
It certainly is. And, this kind of exercise is gaining popularity all over the world. And it's definitely evolving beyond just like basic hiking.
Yeah. So let's start with this Taiwanese Walking Stick Sports Promotion Association.
Okay.
And they're really pushing for this idea of walking stick exercise.
Interesting.
Not just regular walking, but using walking sticks. And they're saying it leads to overall health improvement.
And they're right to make that distinction, because using walking sticks for support and propulsion, that really adds a whole new level to walking.
Propulsion, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what makes this so different from just regular walking?
Well, think of it this way. When you're just walking normally, you're mainly using your legs.
Right.
But when you're using walking sticks, you're also engaging your upper body and your core to kind of like give you an extra push with each step.
Oh, I see.
So that's where the propulsion comes in.
So it's like you're adding power to each stride.
Exactly. And your source highlights all these benefits: reduce stress on the joints, better balance, even improved posture.
Right.
And that's because the poles actually act as shock absorbers. So the impact is distributed across your upper body.
Makes sense.
So your knees and hips, they don't have to take the full force.
Yeah. And that would be a huge benefit as we get older, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I also read that walking with poles engages almost 90% of your muscles.
It does.
That's a full body workout.
It is. It really is. And, that's another reason why it's so suitable for people of all ages and fitness levels.
That's fantastic. You also included an article from Harvard Health Magazine.
Right.
And it talks about Nordic walking and how it originated as a summer training method for Finnish cross-country skiers.
Yeah, makes sense when you think about it, right? Those long strides and the powerful pole plants. It actually uses that same kind of push and glide motion as cross-country skiing.
I can see that.
And what's really fascinating is that the article, it says that Nordic walking can burn like 18 to 67% more calories than regular walking.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It is.
Makes you think maybe ditching the gym and going for a walk with poles is the way to go, huh?
Maybe.
But wait, there's more, right? Because the material you sent, it mentions different types of walking stick exercise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does. There's Nordic walking, which we just touched on,
Right.
but there's also Japanese walking.
Okay.
And tumbler walking.
Interesting. So let's break those down.
Okay.
So Nordic walking is the more intense version.
It is.
What about Japanese walking?
Well, Japanese walking really prioritizes injury prevention. It's much gentler, and it's designed to be especially helpful for people who are maybe at a higher risk of falling.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And tumbler walking, as you mentioned earlier, was developed in Taiwan.
Yeah, it was.
And it's all about encouraging even those who are frail or maybe have limited mobility to get out there and get active.
Right. It's incredibly inclusive. And, it uses this very structured approach with like 13 stages and 52 actions just to help people gradually build strength and confidence.
It's remarkable how this form of exercise has been adapted to meet different needs.
It is.
And this reminds me of something that the Taiwanese Association really emphasized. It's the social and the community aspects of walking stick exercise.
That's such a key point that often gets overlooked when we're talking about fitness trends.
Yeah.
Because, the camaraderie and the shared experience can be so motivating and enjoyable.
It really can. There's something special about connecting with nature and with other people.
Absolutely.
While getting a great workout.
It really is a holistic approach to well-being, physical, mental, and social. But I'm curious, from all this information, what's resonating most with you? What's sparking your interest?
Honestly, for me, it's this idea of propulsion. Really how it engages your upper body and core.
Right.
We touched on it a bit earlier, but I'd love to kind of dive a little deeper into the mechanics of how that works.
Yeah, of course. So picture yourself just taking a regular walk, right?
Yeah.
It's mostly your legs doing all the work.
Right.
But with walking stick exercise, as you plant those poles behind you, you're pushing off, and that's engaging your arms, your shoulders, back, even your core.
Okay, so it's not just like swinging them around.
Yeah.
There's an actual technique.
Exactly. And that technique changes a bit depending on the walking style. So like with Nordic walking, you use a longer stride
Okay.
and a really powerful pull plant to kind of maximize that propulsion, which is what makes it such an intense workout.
So then how does Japanese walking compare to that?
Well, Japanese walking is all about controlled movements.
Hmm.
The poles are used mainly for support, for balance,
Okay.
and that really helps minimize the stress on your joints
Right.
and reduces that risk of falling.
That makes sense. Yeah, it sounds like a gentler approach.
It is.
Perfect for someone who wants stability and wants to prevent injuries.
Absolutely.
So what about the tumbler walking technique?
Yeah,
It's really intriguing. You said there's 13 stages and 52 actions.
I did.
That sounds complex.
Yeah, it's definitely structured. But remember, it's designed to be accessible, adaptable, especially for those with limited mobility or people starting at a lower fitness level. It's not so much about the intense propulsion,
Yeah.
It's more about building strength, flexibility, coordination
Okay.
through this series of specific movements that gradually progress.
Interesting. I'm noticing a theme here.
Oh, yeah.
All these variations, they really seem to focus on meeting people where they're at, regardless of age or physical condition.
Right.
It's pretty inclusive.
It is. And that range of techniques, it shows just how versatile walking stick exercise can be.
Right.
Whether you're looking to improve your heart health or you want to enhance your balance, coordination, or even if you just want to enjoy being outdoors in a more engaging way.
Right.
There's a walking stick exercise style out there for you.
We've talked a lot about the physical benefits.
Yeah.
But what about the mental and emotional aspects?
Oh, that's a good point.
Being in nature, moving our bodies, it's got to have some kind of positive impact.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, spending time in nature has been shown to lower stress levels, boost your mood, even improve cognitive function.
Right.
And when you combine all those benefits with physical exercise and social interaction, well, it's a pretty powerful recipe for overall well-being.
Really is. It's like a trifecta.
It is.
For the mind, body, and spirit. But before we get too carried away, are there any downsides?
Yeah.
Are there any risks we should be aware of?
That's a great question and an important one. And while walking stick exercise is generally considered low impact, pretty safe for most people. Like any form of exercise, you want to approach it with awareness.
So what should people be mindful of?
Well, first off, proper technique is key.
Okay.
You want to make sure you're choosing poles that are the correct height for you.
Right.
And learning how to use them effectively.
Okay.
So you can prevent injuries. And especially for beginners, I always recommend getting some guidance from a qualified instructor.
Right. Makes sense.
And like with any new activity, it's best to start slow, gradually increase the intensity, and really listen to your body.
Yeah. Safety and proper form, those are always top priorities.
Absolutely.
Going through all this information, it's been really insightful.
Good.
And I'm really starting to see why walking stick exercise is becoming so popular. It's not just some fitness fad. It's something much more than that.
It is.
It's really versatile.
Yeah.
And it comes with all these physical, mental, social benefits.
Absolutely. It's an approach to fitness that really embraces inclusivity and promotes that sense of well-being,
I do.
But I'm curious, what are your biggest takeaways from all of this? What has really shifted your perspective on this whole idea of walking with poles?
I'll be honest. I'm surprised at how versatile it really is. I used to think this was just for, older people.
Right, right.
But it seems like it can be tailored for anyone.
Absolutely. It really can be as gentle or as challenging as you make it. It's pretty fascinating how each technique has its own focus,
Yeah. It's like they took walking and added all these layers
Yeah.
to make it, I don't know, more nuanced.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so inclusive. It's not this exclusive club.
Right.
It can be for anyone.
And something else that struck me?
What's that?
We always talk about the physical benefits of exercise.
Of course, yeah.
But going through all this really highlighted the mental and emotional aspects.
It's not just about, burning calories or building muscle. It's about finding enjoyment in moving your body,
Yeah.
connecting with nature,
Yeah.
and, experiencing that camaraderie of walking with other people.
It's almost meditative in a way.
It is.
The rhythm, the fresh air, the sounds. It's like a way to reconnect with yourself.
It is. And that brings us to an interesting point.
Okay.
We talked about the physical benefits,
Right.
the mental, the social.
Right.
But what about the psychological impact?
Oh, interesting.
What needs might it fulfill?
Well, I'm thinking about the sense of accomplishment you get from mastering a new skill, like Nordic walking,
Mm.
or that confidence boost from pushing yourself further than you thought you could.
Yeah, exactly. It taps into that drive we all have to grow and improve ourselves. And there's also that element of mindfulness,
Right.
just focusing on your breath, on your movement.
Right, being present.
Yeah. Yeah, and your surroundings can have such a calming effect.
So it's not just a workout. It's more like a path to self-discovery, stress reduction,
Absolutely.
a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you.
Well said. I think you've captured what makes this so compelling. It nourishes us on so many levels. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought.
Okay.
Think about everything we discussed. The techniques, the benefits, the potential for growth. What resonates most with you?
That's a great question to think about. Is this something you would try? And if so, what type of walking stick exercise interests you the most? We encourage you to reflect on these points.
And see where this new knowledge takes you.
This is really just the start of the exploration.
It is.
There's a whole world out there waiting to be discovered.
Maybe this deep dive will inspire you to give it a try. We'd love to hear about your experiences.
And that's a wrap on today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration into walking stick exercise. Until next time, keep those questions coming, and happy walking.